The Dreadwastes, a grim and foreboding region, lie in the southern part of Townlong, cut off from the rest of Pandaria by the imposing Serpent Spine. While it shares some resemblance to its northern counterpart, the Dreadwastes are shrouded in a malevolent energy, casting a dark gloom over the land. Shaw-corrupted soil stretches across the landscape, even breaching the Great Wall to taint the Valley of the Four Winds and drive a warpath towards the Gate of the Setting Sun. Here, the Mantid armies surge forth, relentless in their conquest, devouring all in their path. At the heart of this corrupted territory stands the Imperial Palace of the Mantid, aptly named the Heart of Fear. This dark stronghold is a monument to the Shaw of Fear, which has ensnared the entire Mantid race through their empress, Shek'Zir. Under its malefic influence, the once mighty papyrus trees have been twisted by unstable energies, adding to the land's desolation. However, amidst the darkness, a glimmer of resistance remains. In the center of the wastes, one bastion of hope stands, the Ves, held by the Calaxi. These ancient keepers of Mantid culture openly rebel against the madness of their corrupted empress, striving to preserve their heritage and resist the Shah's insidious grasp. The Dreadwastes thus become a battleground not only between the Mantid and Pandaria, but also within the Mantid society itself, as the Calaxi fight to reclaim their legacy from the brink of annihilation. In the heart of the Dreadwastes lies the homeland of the Mantid, a fierce and relentless race commanded by the formidable Grand Empress Shek'Zir. From her throne, she directs an unending tide of Mantid warriors. Their numbers so vast they threaten to overwhelm the Shadowpan defenders stationed at the Serpent Spine. Traditionally, the Mantid have launched their swarms in regular, predictable cycles. However, this latest onslaught has arrived a decade earlier than expected, catching the Pandaren off guard. The cause of this premature swarm is not a newfound strategic brilliance from Shek'Zir, but rather a catastrophic upheaval within the Mantid society. The Empress has fallen under the dark influence of the Shaw of Fear, her once ordered realm descending into chaos. Under her corrupted rule, the Mantid have embraced the Shah's malevolent essence, willfully tainting their sacred trees and the entire ecology of their homeland. Driven by a blind, consuming fear, Shek'Zir has plunged her entire empire into a ruinous warpath, endangering the very survival of her civilization. Yet not all Mantid have succumbed to this madness. The Calaxi, a group of elder Mantid, see the peril in Shek'Zir's reckless course. They understand that ravaging Pandaria is futile if it means surrendering their entire race to Shaw corruption. The struggle within the Dreadwastes thus centers on the conflict between the mindless swarms loyal to Shek'Zir and the Calaxi, who strive to save their people from self-destruction. The turmoil is vividly illustrated in the region, highlighting both the overwhelming power of a full-scale Mantid swarm and the devastating effects of unchecked Shaw influence. Amidst this chaos, the Stormstout family has arrived, determined to confront the Mantid threat head-on. They have allied themselves with the brewmasters of the Sunset Brew Garden, experts in crafting brews from the sap of native Kipari trees. Meanwhile, on the southern coast, the survivors of a shipwreck have established Soggy's Gamble, a makeshift village of huts. As the only anglers beyond the Serpent Spine, they are reaping the rewards of their unique position, adding yet another layer of complexity to the ongoing struggle in the Dreadwastes. Now, who are the Mantid? The Mantid are an ancient and highly evolved race of insect-like beings that have threatened the inhabitants of Pandaria since prehistoric times. Unlike a typical hive mind, their society, ruled by a queen, showcases individual sentience. This intelligence allows them to construct towering structures and master sophisticated weaponry, making them a formidable force. What sets the Mantid apart is their blend of individual cunning and collective ferocity. In single combat, a Mantid warrior is a deadly adversary, but when they swarm, they become an unstoppable tide of destruction. Each generation, Mantid young hatch in staggering numbers and surge across Pandaria, consuming everything in their path. The brutal cycle ensures that only the strongest return to their homeland. To defend against these relentless swarms, the ancient Mogu built a massive wall, the Serpent Spine, requiring every ounce of strength from Pandaria's defenders to keep the Mantid at bay. The Mantid's arsenal includes a lethal poison that gnaws through flesh and taints the blood, causing a slow and agonizing death if left untreated. Upon hatching, Mantid larvae are driven by two primal instincts, to kill and to feed. They turn on each other in a savage culling, ensuring only the strongest survive to maturity. Those who hatch during a swarm, known as the Swarmborn, are unleashed upon Pandaria, transforming the land into a battlefield of survival and devastation. Amber is the lifeblood of Mantid society, intricately woven into their architecture, art, and technology. Harvested from the magnificent Kapari amber trees, this precious material is shaped by skilled ambersmiths into razor-sharp blades and formidable weapons. In times of great need, revered Mantid heroes were preserved within amber, awaiting the moment to rise again. The Empress and her Calaxi Council vigilantly protect the Kapari trees of the Townlong Steppes, the sole source of this invaluable amber. According to legend, these majestic trees once flourished east of the wall, but the relentless Mogu cut them down in their perpetual war against the Mantid. The Mantid, however, have preserved the ancient custom of aging Kapari sap before using it, employing specialized devices that have remained unchanged through the ages. To the Mantid, the Kapari trees are sacred, revered as living shrines steeped in their culture. These trees form the very foundation of their society. Each Kapari tree is endowed with a unique name by the Mantid, and those who dwell within its roots, branches, and hidden nooks share this name, creating a profound bond between the Mantid and their wooded homes. Experiencing a Mantid assault on the Serpent's Spine is harrowing for both defenders and attackers. The clash is a brutal test of survival, where only the smartest, strongest, and most agile Mantid make it through, while countless Pandaran defenders fall in battle. The Mantid who survive these ordeals return to the great trees, often carrying trophies of their victories. They are hailed as heroes and reintegrated into Mantid society, their status elevated by the valor and achievements displayed. With each assault, the Mantid warriors grow stronger and more formidable. Travelers venturing beyond the wall are warned. Any Mantid encountered there is a battle-hardened veteran, worthy of both fear and respect. Mantid are born with an insatiable thirst for battle. Participation in a swarm is not merely a cultural rite of passage, but a critical phase in their physical development. Only those who survive and return from battle can evolve from Swarmborn into fully aware and independent citizens. As part of their transition, most Mantid shed their wings, symbolizing their readiness to bear heavy armor and weapons. Viewing other races such as the Pandaran as lesser creatures, the Mantid take grim pleasure in slaughtering them by the thousands. However, they do not see these creatures as entirely purposeless. Their true aim is not the mere defeat of their enemies, but to use the challenges posed by these adversaries to cull the weak and sharpen the skills of the strong. In the Mantid's eyes, battle is an efficient mentor, and the cycle of the conflict serves not to bring death but to impart knowledge. While the Mantid occasionally use materials like wind wool and imperial silk, their preferred fabric is a unique material crafted from the wings of various insectoid creatures, including their own. This practice underscores their resilience and the integration of their environment into their way of life. The Mantid Empress is a formidable and terrifying presence in Pandaria. From her, the nearly endless legions of Mantid are born. She sings to her swarm, infusing their minds with purpose. Her desires become their own, and they obey her without hesitation. From afar, the Empress directs her swarm, communicating through an enigmatic form of sound, one that other races cannot hear. Their mysterious form of communication allows her to speak directly into their minds. However, it is possible to block her commands with enough disruption of this sound, providing a rare vulnerability in her otherwise unyielding control. Though Mantid Empresses boast impressive longevity, they are not immortal. A council of Mantid elders known as the Calaxi meticulously oversees the transition of power from one empress to the next. This transfer is shrouded in secrecy, involving a trial by combat where aging empresses are traditionally replaced by a carefully chosen successor. The successor then consumes the remains of the former empress, ensuring an unbroken line of power throughout Mantid history. Despite their limited numbers, the Calaxi play a crucial role in shaping and safeguarding Mantid culture. However, their ability to override the Empress's will remains uncertain. Young Mantid known as Swarmborn are highly dependent on the Empress's voice. Without her constant mental communication, they fall into a fugue state, wandering aimlessly and unable to act in self-defense or even recognize their Empress. Her voice is the anchor of their existence, driving their actions and ensuring their loyalty. As Imperial Vizier Zorlok says, "We are the extension of our Empress's will. Ours is but to serve in her divine name. Never to question nor to contemplate, we simply act." We fight, toil, and serve so that her vision for us is made reality. Her happiness is our reward, her sorrow our failure. We will give our lives for the Empress without hesitation. She is the light, and without her, our lives will be lost to darkness. The chaff of the world tumbles across our doorstep, driven by fear. Her royal swarm will whisk them away. They are but the waves crashing upon the mountain of her divine will. They may rise again and again, but will accomplish nothing. We are unfazed. We will stand firm. The divine challenges us to face these intruders, and so it falls to us, her chosen voice. Imperial Vizier Zorlok serves as the voice of the Empress, his words alone stirring the Mantid warriors to lay down their lives without hesitation. His powerful eloquence and unwavering command embody the will of the Empress, inspiring unwavering loyalty and fearless devotion among the insectoid soldiers. The cycle of Mantid birthing and building centers around the Kushong, a colossal insect capable of threatening entire towns on its own. The Mantid revere this massive creature, and when its instincts drive it to rampage across the continent, consuming earth, trees, and lakes, they follow in its wake. They collect the amber-colored resin it secretes, using it to birth their young and construct their homes. The destruction of other races' homes by the Kushong is of little concern to the Mantid. Wherever the Kushong's shadow falls, they follow, transforming the land as they go. Many of the seemingly mundane pieces of Mantid furniture, despite their amber hue, are crafted from this creature's secretions. This remarkable material, both resilient and versatile, is a testament to the deep bond between the Mantid and the mighty Kushong, shaping their society and their environment. Klaxivest, the central stronghold of the Calaxy in the heart of the Dread Waste, stands as a bastion of resistance. This base is strategically situated amid constant danger. The Klaxivest is fortified with a protective field that eradicates lesser Mantids still loyal to the Queen. This formidable defense mechanism is likely the only barrier preventing the Calaxy from being overwhelmed by the relentless swarm. The shield shows how fragile the balance of power is and highlights the Calaxy's determination to resist the Queen's corrupted forces. Corvus is a prominent Mantid settlement nestled within Kapari Core, a colossal Kapari tree located on the northern border of the Dread Wastes, adjacent to Townlong Steppes. This vital settlement supplies the Mantid swarm with the majority of its precious amber. Inside the northeastern entrance of Kapari Core lies the Heartroot. After N'Zoth was released from its ancient prison and the Mantid swore allegiance to it, Corvus and its precious amber became tainted with a dark infection. This corruption fueled the Mantid, granting them newfound power as they launched a ferocious assault on the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. The once pure amber of Corvus now pulsed with the malevolent influence of N'Zoth, transforming the Mantid into even more formidable adversaries. In the early days of the world, the first Kapari trees blossomed, their amber flowing freely and nurturing the Mantid. Known as Kyperite, this amber was regarded as the lifeblood of the earth. It healed their wounds and emboldened their spirits. Amber quickly became the cornerstone of Mantid society, integral to their architecture, art, and technology. The Empress and her council of Calaxy vigilantly protected the great trees of the Townlong Steppes, the sole source of this precious substance. According to legend, the Kapari once flourished east of the wall, but the relentless Mogu cut them all down in their endless war against the Mantid swarm. Recently, however, the Kapari trees have begun to die. Kapari Vor and Kapari Ik, now barely recognizable as trees, have already fallen victim to the Shah. Kapari Zar, indirectly corrupted by the Shah, is beyond saving. The few remaining amber-producing trees are either being over-harvested by the Mantid, or at risk of succumbing to the Shah's influence. In Rikatun village, the sprites, protected by a pact with the Mantid, maintain a mysterious connection to the Kapari reproductive cycle, offering a glimmer of hope for the future of these ancient trees. There are multiple named Kapari trees, including Vor, Krivus, and Zar. Kapari Vor, located in the northeastern Dread Wastes, has succumbed to the corrupting Shah energies along the Horrid March. This once majestic Kapari tree lies southeast of the tree housing the Amber Vault and the Sunset Brew Garden. Kapari Vor was once a sight to behold, brimming with amber and surrounded by prime hunting grounds. Now its former beauty is marred by the dark taint of the Shah. The first Calaxi Paragon, Corvin the Prime, was honored with the task of planting the seed that would grow into Kapari Zar before he volunteered to be placed into stasis. Now the tree is plagued by the Shah, with the Kolbite matriarch, a Shah-infested menace, making her den beneath its roots. This ancient tree's legacy is overshadowed by corruption, its grandeur fading under the relentless grip of darkness. The Lake of Stars, located just south of the southern fork of the Horrid March, this lake is a contested battleground between a Sarok tribe and a group of Crocolisks. The Sarok dominate the southern shores while the Crocolisks hold the northern waters. Soggy's Gamble is nestled on the southeastern coast of the Dreadwastes, was founded by the shipwrecked crew of the Misthopper, an angler's vessel captained by Soggy Sudao. This resilient town is bordered by the Chittering Coast to the northeast, the Lonesome Cove to the southeast, and Mezu's Overlook, a high bluff to the west. The anglers here primarily earn their livelihood by fishing for emperor crabs, but they also trade a variety of sea goods, including oils, plants, shark teeth, and rare minerals, which are transported back around the Serpent Spine. Sand the Sea Calmer operates an inn known as the Chum Bucket, providing a warm and welcoming refuge for travelers and locals alike. The Shah of Fear has insidiously corrupted the Grand Empress of the Mantid, leading to increasingly erratic and paranoid commands. This descent into madness has forced the Calaxi, the revered keepers of the Mantid culture, to take drastic measures. Recognizing their limited numbers, the Calaxi have reluctantly opened their ranks to outside assistance in their mission to overthrow the Empress and cleanse their race of the Shah's malevolent influence. Zorlok's proclamations echo through the vast halls of the Mantid Palace, his voice resonating with authority. As the voice of the Empress, his words alone are enough to inspire the Mantid warriors to sacrifice their lives without hesitation. His unwavering loyalty to the Empress drives him to defend her fiercely, oblivious to the corruption that has taken hold of her. Zorlok's devotion is absolute, and he will stop at nothing to protect his beloved matriarch. Tayak is renowned for his patient and keen intellect. In combat, he excels at identifying his opponent's weakness and biding his time until the perfect moment to strike. His unparalleled skill with a blade makes him a formidable warrior, and he takes great pride in passing on his martial experience to the next generation of Mantid fighters. Windlord Meljarak, the commanding force behind the Mantid's formidable aerial legions, is as arrogant as he is cunning. Despite his arrogant demeanor, he is fiercely protective of his soldiers and relishes joining them in battle. Meljarak holds an unwavering belief in the superiority of the Mantid, convinced that no other race can best them in combat. Amber Shaper Unsock is driven by an intense desire to please his Empress. The young and brilliant alchemist has crafted numerous innovative concoctions. However, his close proximity to the Mantid Queen has left him vulnerable to the corrupting influence of the Shah's dark energies. Plagued by an overwhelming fear of failure, Unsock is now consumed with creating ever deadlier weapons, his genius twisted by the shadow that haunts his mind. The ancient Calaxi Order has reached a sorrowful decision. The tainted Grand Empress Shexir must be deposed. Traditionally, Mantid rulers are replaced in their old age by a carefully chosen successor. However, Shexir's designated heir is still too young and weak to challenge her, forcing the Calaxi to consider a drastic alternative. They must kill the current Empress. If they do not act swiftly, all of Pandaria may fall before the relentless onslaught of the Mantid swarms driven by Shexir's corrupted commands. Upon her death, her soul ventured into the Shadowlands, where it was subsequently harvested for its essence by the Death Knights of the Ebon Blade. And that's going to do it for this one. For this one, there really wasn't a whole lot in the lore of each area, and I tried to find more stuff, but each one was basically, it's north of this, south of this, and I didn't really think that anyone needed to know every south and east of a location. So these were the ones with the most actual lore talking points. Either way, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Take care of yourself.